I know I'm not supposed to use paper, but you'll soon realize why I should be using it. Otherwise, I'll never get to the end of the story. Because I suffer from ADD. Actually, I wouldn't call it suffer. No, they call it ADHD as if it's some kind of high definition. Right in the middle of a conversation, or a presentation, my mind flies away. And I'm like this guy at the checkout counter whose credit card doesn't work, and everyone is watching me, and I'm just waiting for my mind to come back, and it's always chasing something shiny. In addition, every 20 minutes or so, minds of men go take a trip to the gutter with pervert images and thoughts. This is nature's way of sample and holding the situation to see if there's any opportunity here, and it hasn't worked for a million years. So every few minutes, my mind goes to this shiny, happy place. In most of the time, it comes back and I pick up with a little bit of audio-video delay and I catch up. But every other time, it comes back with something very brilliant, but I have nothing to do with those thoughts. I'm just waiting for it, the damn thing to come back. So ADD is a huge blessing to an entrepreneur, because thing is, you got to be nuts to start a company to start with, because you're betting your earning potential, your family, your children's future, just about all kinds of things. Just you're chasing a dream, and entrepreneurs are a very, very paranoid bunch. Other than chasing opportunities, they're always looking for the moving grass and out there looking for a tiger. They're always worried about threats. They're always worried that they're going to run out of money. Their product is going to bomb in the market, and just about every other things that could really happen. So this is where frequent distraction really, really helps. Just about when you're worried or depressed or happy, your mind goes for a trip, and when it comes back, it's like Control-Alt-Delete. You're back to your neutral self all over again, and so we don't feel too happy, we don't feel too sad for too long, and we always come back to its middle, stable condition. This is my story of going through potentially the most stressful experience of navigating the dark alleys of entrepreneurship, with only this flashlight that keeps going off every few minutes. I was a design engineer in a small startup company, and my desk was always so messy. People used to close my office door when we had guests. And my boss decided that maybe this guy should get a little coordinated. So he sends me for an entrepreneurial management program. I was so inspired, I came back and quit my job. So this is another fun fact about guys with ADD. They only get to decide once while things are actually really happening, because later they have already lost their data. They cannot recreate the same situation. So they just make a decision and just move ahead. So of course, before I did anything like this, I talked to my wife Shanti, and you really don't want to fight two wars at the same time, home front and here. So, I was stupid enough to go start a company, everything, and she was foolish enough to actually help, let me do this. I don't know. So it was a cold January, and our kids were 4 and 1. My partner David, he was good at operations and finance and such, and both of us put $30,000, everything I had saved till then, into the company. And we spent next few weeks trying to figure out how to start a damn company. And I used to call all my old customers looking to see if there's any kind of job I could do, any kind of thing I could make for them. And there was one engineer, a Lucent engineer, who works with Lucent Technologies. So I used to help him out with all kinds of things. So I called him up and said, do you have anything I could make for you? I didn't go through the entrepreneurship program here, so I was just figuring it out as I went. So can I make anything for you? So he went through and said, can you make this, can you make this? So finally he gave me one of the things. I said, yeah, this sounds like something I can make. So he said, okay, go ahead and here are the drawings, go make a prototype. I'll try to approve you, and then hopefully you can get some orders. Now it's February. We made some prototypes, we sent them out and got all approved. I said, this is good, things are going really, really well and I should be taking off very soon. Then we called the purchasing manager. There's a lady named Charlotte in Oklahoma City. And she said, I don't have any orders for you. I said, come on, Charlotte, my money is running out. And I keep calling her and she stopped picking up her phone after a little while. And now it's May, and month of May, and my calls to Charlotte are getting really frantic. And finally I get through to her and I said, Charlotte, please give me something. And imagine 5 months have passed. And she said, I'll tell you what is happening. The ERP software that we have automatically repeats the order to the previous person, the company the supplier that they bought from. So if I want to override it, I have to get all kinds of permissions from people. So I don't want to do that because then I'll be seen as doing some kind of favoritism. So didn't have a choice. We badly needed an order. Our financial resources were getting rock bottom. We hardly had about a few weeks left. Otherwise, we would have been closing out. So the interesting thing is when you're put into a situation, when you're running out of money and you get scared. When you get scared, you start making safe decisions, safe and risk-averse decisions. For a small company, all that you have is to make the risky first move that others wouldn't even dare make, and then move up from there. But in this case, if I don't make the thing, we are a company without money or guts at this point. So I had to get myself into a state where I said, I'm going to fail, and I'm okay with failing. That means I'm going to lose my house and my car, and we're going to go bankrupt and everything else. That gave a whole lot of freedom to act. So I tell Shanti about this, and I told her that we have to refinance our house and put money into the company, and kids are little, I can stop their college funds, and if the company really crashes and burns, I still have some marketable skills. I can slowly, within a few years, I can bring myself back to financial stability. And so there's also a promise that things can go right, and you could make a whole lot of money in a few years. And I think that's what I was telling her, obviously. So, and she was like, go do it, because if I don't let you do it, I'll never hear the end of your kudas and shouldas, So I don't know who's a bigger fool here at this point, So, so David and I are not taking salaries, because a bank is not willing to lend us any money because we never had any history. We don't have any agreements with suppliers, no line of credit. So all transactions are just on cash. So one fine morning I get a call from Charlotte. And this is the first time she is ever calling me. She said, if I release a purchase order for 1,000 units, will you accept it? And I was like, does the Pope shit in the woods? Of course. But the fact is that these 1,000 units had to be delivered just on July 6th, which is just after July 4th. And we are in June first week. So we had about 4 weeks. We had to make these 1,000 units, and the supplier who was making all these things, they said no, because we have all these breaks in between, we don't have enough time. And now they have all the manufacturing facilities, and we have nothing. We don't have production, we don't have no agreements with suppliers, and we don't have cash. Absolutely yes, I said. Just fax me the purchase order. Okay. Now it's like now that the dog has caught up with the car, what the hell is it going to do? But it is an order for about $200,000, and it takes about $80,000 just for buying the materials. We have zero for cash, and David and I have to assemble all these 1,000 units because we don't even have an employee. So here we are looking around, and we have to make everything in 4 weeks. But this is going into some loosened system, which is about $50,000 a unit or something like that. So if we screw up, they're going to be screwed up for tens of millions of dollars. And not only will they never buy anything from us, they're actually going to sue us. So that is the kind of decision that we were at, And we said, we don't have a choice. What's the worst they can do? They can't put us any worse than where we are right now. So let's go with it. So originally we were planning on setting up all our customer supply chain and everything after we have a first order. Right now we don't have any time, and we have to start everything this afternoon. We have about 4 weeks to deliver all these things. But luckily I had applied for a whole lot of credit cards before, and I used to get all kinds of card things. So I had about 7 or 10 credit cards. So we went and maxed out all the cards, and bought all the parts. So interesting thing is, if I really time it, I could ship all the things, get money from Lucent, and then pay Visa. So because we don't have any money to pay Visa as such. So I also knew that we cannot deliver all 1,000 units on the July 6th, because there's no way in hell we can even assemble all of them. So the thing is, we also knew, my thinking was like this, that Lucent cannot assemble all 1,000 units in the first week. Anyways. Second thing is, because of July 4th weekend, I'm sure some other supplier is going to screw up. Okay, and they're going to delay Lucent, and we can just, it won't be our fault. So all we have to do is to ship a few pieces on the first day, so that on record we'll be seen as starting to ship on time. So, and I was betting the whole company on this strategy. Okay, so there was no other option. Okay. So we were working 18 to 20 hours a day. We were sleeping in the office, and I would be sleeping on the conference table, and some nights I go home, but I get well past midnight at home, and my kids are sleeping. I wake up very early. Before they wake up, I come back to office. So I have not been seeing my kids for a month. So we work all the way through July 4th, and we had about 20 units ready. And we shipped them in FedEx, next day, 8 a.m. delivery with whatever else, just so that we had to establish that the things actually reach there on time. So the interesting thing is, if you're shipping 9 out of 10 or 1 out of 10, you're seen as partial shipment. If you don't ship anything, you're seen as you have missed a ship date. So we don't want to have that. So here I was juggling all kinds of things like production, funds, morale, home front, and all kinds of office. This is absolutely the best job for an ADD case. Over the next week, we make about 200 units, and we finish all 1,000 units just in time, and we go completely unnoticed. Nobody realized that we were late. So finally, one evening, I come home early, and my 1-year-old daughter comes running, and Daddy, I missed you. This is the first time I was seeing her in such a long time, actually walking around, and she had grown, in that 1 month. I was telling my wife that I finally have gone through this life and death thing, and I am glad I married a fool, who let me do all this. And she said, yeah, I am glad I married a fool too, So, but a few days later, I'm sitting in the office, and I hear the fax machine chirping. And I went back and found that it was another purchase order. And that's when I realized what Charlotte said. The ERP system keeps repeating the order. And so it is completely ours to lose now. And I was so ecstatic. But then my mind went over to some shiny, happy place. I have an epilogue to this. Last week, I gave this script to my wife and said, you should read this, because she is good at things like language and reading and grammar and things like that. So she started reading, and I was sitting around, and I heard a sob. I said, maybe I acted as if I didn't hear it fully. I don't know, married men may understand. Then she started sobbing uncontrollably. I said, oh my God, this really sucks. And I didn't know what was happening, and I asked her, and she wouldn't tell me, and I was thinking of all kinds of anticipatory apologies, and she cried for 25 minutes. How do I know it is 25 minutes? Jay Leno was just about finishing his second act. And I'm trying to time my next discussion just with a commercial break. Okay. So, guys, I'm not a horrible man. Okay. But, see, the women are these sophisticated computer systems with one single error message. They have this red LED which blinks for every error. Okay, and men have to go through exhaustive search of all kinds of things to see, is it something I said? Is it something I didn't say? Is it something? and we are like playing 20 questions. But then I asked her, what is happening? And she said, that was the most horrible period in my life. I was trying to keep a job, take care of 2 kids, and I was sick that you're going to go bankrupt. And you were never there at home. I turned off the TV. Now I know this is something serious. And I have never heard this part of the story too much. And she had kept it all in, and it has left us its scars. During the startup years, I seldom come home, and company had its great rise and actually had steep fall. We came about a day away from bankruptcy. During all these things, she was single-handedly managing the house, kids and all finances, and she was scared. She never showed it, and it was affecting her job. At this point, she was worried that she's going to get fired because she was, having all kinds of issues at work. That means we would lose our health care and the only source of income we have if we go bankrupt. But after all this, I can't believe I look back and I have completely forgotten all the struggles, pain, panic, and that we were facing all through. I could not remember any of it as far as I could recollect. No fear, no anger, no hatred, no sorrow, no regrets, no pain, nothing. I could not remember any of these things. Every image and sound in my hard experiences have been erased from my memory, and they all, as they were happening, have been replaced with this static hum of joy, and that's ADD. Thanks.